Amphibia returns on March 19th, 2022, alongside the Owl House for the second half of Season 3. The final run of premieres will conclude Amphibia as we know it. Now, whenever I mention that Amphibia is coming to a close, I'm often met with some confusion and skepticism, as although anyone could see that Season 3 would serve as a nice endpoint for the story, based off everything that's happened so far, we have yet to receive an official statement by Disney Television saying, yeah, this is the end. So just to clarify, Matt Brawley has stated before that Amphibia was intended to be a 3-act story from the jump, and by the end of Season 2, we have completed those first 2 acts, signified by text that reads End of Part 1 and End of Part 2 in Reunion and True Colors respectively. On top of that, Matt Brawley has also hinted that there won't be a trailer for the second half of Season 3, on account of wanting fans to experience these upcoming episodes as fresh as possible. So yes, by the end of spring, we'll be able to take a step back and view Amphibia as a completed product. Personally, I have always believed that 3 to 4 seasons is the sweet spot for a series. Growing up, that was the magic number. And if a show made it to 3 seasons, it just put an inexplicable smile on my face. It's alright if you get to go past that point, especially if there's plenty of story left to tell. But that format of a clear-cut beginning, middle, and end will always be top tier for me. Anyways, not only do we finally have 2 titles for Amphibia's March return, but we also have the episode descriptions, and I couldn't be more excited if I tried, as not only are we poised to return to Amphibia real soon, but we're more than likely getting plenty of Sasha screen time and development, something almost everyone can't get enough of. As always, we're gonna be breaking down descriptions and throwing out predictions. Now real quick, I've mentioned this in our last 2 videos, but I just want to remind you guys that for these final episodes of Amphibia and Owl House, we'll be starting up a fan spotlight for our videos on them. Inspired by spotlights I used to see on TV as a kid watching Toonami after school. Whether if you make art, cosplay, or memes. We're aiming to have these spotlights and episode breakdowns and theories for the rest of the season. As stated before, I'd like to get back to you all for making these shows a special experience. So for chances to be featured, just follow and tag us on Twitter and Instagram at OstricFox and at Roundtable Vids. We likely won't see any posts without the follow due to notification settings. And please be sure to subscribe. Maybe we'll try to hit that 2 million mark this year. With all that said, let's dive in. Getting us into the swing of things is a special half-hour mid-season premiere, originally intended to be the mid-season finale, Escape to Amphibia, airing on March 19th, 2022. With the synopsis, having one shot at getting the planters back to Amphibia, Anne and her parents must go up against Mr. X and the FBI. So from the sound of things, it feels like this episode will be an accumulation of everything that's happened on Earth thus far, wrapping up this little mini-arc with an explosive adventure that sees Anne and the planters finally make their way back to the Froggy Frog world we've come to adore. Going up the episodes of Season 3 thus far, alongside promotional material like the season's poster image, there are at least 4 plot points that we should expect to come into play in this special. Of course, we have the FBI, who have already made 2 major attempts at pursuing the planters already, after spotting them being hunted down by Cloakbot. Both attempts leaving Mr. X humiliated as a laughingstock in the eyes of his team, coming across as just some deranged dude who's in over his head, desperate to prove the existence of something that's not really there. Of course, 3rd time's the charm, so I expect he's going to launch an all-out attack, throwing everything in his arsenal at Anne and the planters. Now, the FBI may actually be useful to our heroes, given that Andreas is plotting an invasion upon numerous worlds, including Earth, so perhaps in their pursuit to capture the planters, Anne will fess up and explain the situation to the best of her ability. That the planters come in peace! They didn't even mean to come here. But there is someone evil out there plotting to conquer the multiverse as we know it, so Anne's gonna need all the help she can get, setting the stage for a return to Earth in the endgame of the series, as I can almost guarantee that the final battle will involve Los Angeles. Next up, we have the ongoing character arc with Anne and her relationship with her parents, something that's already saw some substantial development as Mr. and Boonchoi have recognized in numerous ways their daughter has matured since winding up in Amphibia, although there's still tension here and there. Now in the new normal, Anne wanted to keep the fact that she plans on returning to Amphibia with the goal of defeating Andreas under wraps. After all, her parents lost her for about 5 months while she was in Amphibia. I really doubt they want to lose her again. So, an emotional and rather sudden goodbye, with her promising to come back to them, could very well be the direction this episode heads in regards to their involvement. But I'm sure they'll be back. Now there has been an idea floating around that the Boonchois could follow them to Amphibia, given their taste for action after Kurt stopping Cloakbot, but I'd rather go into detail with that idea at a later time. There's of course a new ally, Terry, who's decided to put her career on the line and in order to do the right thing and ensure the planters make it back to Amphibia by way of a portal. It makes sense they'd immediately follow up her promise to get them home with this episode. And I wouldn't be completely surprised if Dr. Frakes is the one who rats them out to the FBI. I expect the portal to be juiced up by way of Anne's Calamity powers, so perhaps if the runtime allows it, Terry could also run some diagnostics on Anne and provide some greater insight on why her powers feel, as Anne has described it before, bad to use. And last but not least, I haven't forgotten about the IT gals, Jess and Allie, the techie YouTubers who promise Polly help with fixing Frobo and implementing further upgrades in the robot once they secure a larger space. Something that hasn't come back into play yet, but given that the Season 3 poster featured Frobo as an RC car, I imagine this upgrade would come into play here. But of course, we could always end this episode off in a way that allows Anne and the planters to return to Earth at any time they choose. So maybe Polly will revisit the gals later on in the season. I do wish the first half of Season 3 had more Monster of the Week episodes of robots, accumulating into Frobo being upgraded with the spare parts of Cloakbot and other adversaries, but I trust Brawley's vision. Now, although I don't see her fitting into the story as is, I am holding out for a surprise appearance from Dr. Jan. Maybe she pops up as they take the museum pod back to Amphibia with them, or maybe the FBI accumulates a list of Planter and Cloakbot sightings and Dr. Jan gets roped in, arrested as an accomplice. But either way, if she doesn't appear, then I think that all but confirms we're coming back to Earth sooner rather than later. Now, there's no real mystery behind Anne the Planters returning to Amphibia, as the description for the next episode, Commander Anne, pretty much confirms they make it back intact. Anne is made leader of the Wartwood Resistance, even though she's not good at the job. Although she's not mentioned in the synopsis, this is more than likely a Sasha-centric episode, one that follows up on the aftermath of her betrayal in True Colors and the shift in her character in Turning Point. When Anne returns to Wartwood, it's only logical that they would waste no time in declaring her the head of the Resistance. She was Frog of the Year after all. She went toe-to-toe with Andreas, and above all else, they find her to be trustworthy. I definitely think they trust her more than Sasha, as Turning Point established. But Sasha, for better or worse, is a queen bee. Her need for control has been a strong focus of her character arc, and for as toxic as that behavior can be, I think Sasha's knack for leadership and directing others is something of value, and that's going to be something everyone will need to recognize. You can be a good leader without being a control freak, and that'll be a lesson Sasha will embrace here. Think back to the conversation between Anne and Sasha in Battle of the Bands, when they were arguing back and forth about performing No Big Deal. Sasha remarked that the drastic changes to Anne's song is simply collaboration, and it happens all the time. Obviously, this was not the case, but the spirit of that conversation will be thematically revisited here, and will struggle to keep everyone in check, to perform under pressure, and maintain the attitudes leaders need for the whole operation to succeed. All the while, I think Sasha will just try to back off and let Anne steer the ship, for no other reason than she still feels kinda guilty, and she wants to prove to Anne that she's improving as a person. Perhaps Anne will screw up majorly against a robot attack, causing Sasha to swoop in and save the day by that aforementioned collaboration, directing the Wartwoodians in a way Anne could only dream of. I'm really excited to see where Sasha's arc goes, and knowing her return is right around the corner has me begging for March to arrive as soon as possible. Now, paired with Commander Anne is an episode named Sprivey, in which Rick and Ivy devise a scheme to be together, but honestly, I don't have many theories or ideas behind this episode. I've said it before, I'm not the biggest shipper, but I do find these two cute together, and it'll be nice to see them as the focus one last time. Before we go, there is one more thought I have around these episodes, and it's my insane curiosity around Darcy and the Core. Part of me is really hoping that the Core has deep insight into the Calamity Box and Prophecy, to the point where they can sense Anne's whereabouts due to her continued connection to the Blue Gem. The encounter between Anne, Sasha, and Darcy is going to be insane, and I anticipate a lot of tension. A heartbreaking episode in the making for sure, no matter how far off that would be. That's all for this one, but as always, I want to hear your thoughts on these episode descriptions and the ideas I presented. Feel free to drop your thoughts in the comments below, or find us over on Twitter and Instagram at RoundtableVids and at AustraFox. Thank you as always to JANKYBONES for the kick-ass thumbnail. Give them a follow on their social media at BoneJanky, alongside their YouTube channel. To keep the momentum of these videos going, please throw this one a like, subscribe if you haven't, share this video with another Amphibia fan, and I'll see you next time.